Everyone, a gentle reminder, our best service is our WNST tech service. It is all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Of course, all the breaking news comes to you first, and when the Orioles are throwing guys over the side of the boat come next week, we'll get it to you first. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And, of course, this guy is with you each and every Thursday from 3 until 5. We welcome Dennis Koulatsos on from Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, where they're selling cars over there, but selling a little purple enthusiasm as well. Dan, 2-1, a win, a couple of wet wins, and some decent health, and putting the team back together. And it's Pittsburgh week here. Confidence levels up on the Ravens, right? We're feeling good about how they played on Sunday.
Yeah, it certainly should be. Dug themselves an early hole, and after that, they acquitted themselves very, very well going forward. And what was amazing to me, Nestor, was how Ravens Nation kind of fell apart 2 minutes in the game. I'm like, guys, there's 56 minutes left in this contest. Let's give it a chance to play out. 60-minute games in the NFL are very, very long. They're designed for the other team, for the team that's down to come back. And there was no doubt in my mind that the Ravens were going to come back, particularly after 3.5 minutes of play. The game wasn't as tight as I thought it would be. I thought it would be a field goal game in either direction. And I'm glad it had a positive outcome, more than positive outcome for the home team. What
do they say? Every team, everybody's got the plan until they get punched in the mouth. I tweeted out 90 seconds in. I'm sitting up there in the stands, and I'm like, look, this could go either way. They might lose 52-0 today,
Absolutely.
Or they might rebound. But that's as bad a start as you'd ever want to have at home. I called it the worst start in the history of the franchise when you consider the weather, the loss, Cincinnati coming home. Half empty again. Tickets are $5 on the internet again. I got stuck with 2 tickets again. And, now they're losing 7-0. 3 bad plays. Quarterback gets crushed. First play from scrimmage at 7-0. To rebound from that, especially 3 touchdowns back last week, the Harbaugh era is about being resilient. And look, I know we'll talk about the knee and Wembley and Jacksonville. That was really an outlier game. I mean, I can't think of 2 games. There was an Indianapolis game a number of years ago, the Chris McAllister game early in Harbaugh's administration, where I said, well, that's a terrible loss.
Well, McAllister was hung over in that game. He let Marvin Harrison blow by him twice, right? That was the beginning of the end for Chris McAllister's career. You can't put that on the head coach. That was a player who was out all night and couldn't recover properly during game time.
But a blowout loss, that's, Harbaugh's 11 years in, even 21-0 down last week that felt like Wembley. They found themselves back in the game in the third quarter. I guess that's a nice part of this team, that if they go to Pittsburgh on Sunday night and they're down 7-0 or 10-0, you don't need to turn the television off and think they're going to lose 31-3, because I don't think they're going to do that. And more than that, and I know this is where the football side of this comes in, this offense is better than anything we've seen around here in a while, and I think it will improve as the season goes along.
Yeah, Nestor, I took a look last night. They're the 4th highest scoring, I believe, at 32.7 points per game in the NFL. They're behind the Rams and the Chiefs and the Saints. Can you imagine the Ravens having a dynamic offense? That's something we're not used to having around here for many, many years. And to your point, this is a team that's resilient. This is a team that can come back. A week ago, I saw the Pittsburgh Steelers fall behind 21-0 to the Chiefs on their home turf. Look, we fell behind to the Broncos, but it wasn't that big of a hole. It wasn't that deep of a hole. I think the difference is that the offense was able to go right back down the field, march down the field. Good return by Tim White. Then you had a 15-yard penalty, gave us the ball around midfield, and they were able to go ahead and punch it in. But this team can score points, and it should get better as the season goes on. They've got 3 or 4 defensive starters out. We see how Joe Flacco likes to throw the ball to his tight ends, and when Hayden Hurst comes back, I mean, him and Mark Andrews, they should even open up the offense even more. And Willie Snead and Michael Crabtree and John Brown, they've all been as advertised, if not better. So, and look, there's nothing but upside for this team, and you got to be feeling good for their chances against Pittsburgh, particularly pending the outcome of the Steelers' Monday night matchup against the Buccaneers.
Dennis Koulatsos is here. He is with Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. You can always follow him, SSV, on WNST, as well as heard every Thursday from 3 until 5 here. Luke and I are always chiming in. For you with the team and the tight end part of this, and what a glue that's been, going back to Shannon Sharp and Trent Dilfer, to Todd Heap after that, and Dennis Pitt after that, seeing Andrews run down the seam like that and make these catches, and how much resource that Ozzie Newsome and the Ravens have put into this position, whether it's Nick Boyle, whether it's Max Williams, obviously Hayden Hurst. But when the tight end thing works for Joe Flacco, this offense works.
Well, it really does, and you got to give credit to Ozzie Newsome and Bill Belichick back in the day when they both drafted tight ends relatively high in the draft. Look, that's one way you can slow down a pass rush. That's one way you can overcome a very fast but smallish defense, but these big 6'5", 6'4" tight ends that can run real fast. And we thought it was a good matchup for the Ravens tight ends against the Bronco linebackers. They exploded. And I also want to give credit to the Ravens. They actually tried to run the ball. I believe Alex Collins had 18 carries. That's 3.8 yards per carry, which doesn't sound like much, but I think it was enough to keep the Denver defense honest. It was enough to keep the heat off of Joe Flacco. And what about the Ravens' offensive line? You got to give those guys a lot of credit. They took some heat after their performance against the Bengals, but they were able to come back and keep Joe Flacco relatively clean and gave him some time to find receivers downfield.
Den, for you defensively, and having guys like Mosley not there, having guys like Smith not there, we'll talk about Hayden Hurst as well in the offense, but this has been a defense, and especially on the road, that's fallen apart when key members, $10 million members, are missing from it. I like that they held their water without Mosley and without Smith. I was concerned enough with no Smith here for the first month of the season. I'll still be concerned with Antonio Brown on Sunday night as well. But no C.J. Mosley, that's a whole different place in the middle of this defense. And certainly Kenny Young has appointed himself nicely. When Peanut's been in there, it's been fine. I mean, Burt McClellan was running around in there. They've held their water. I don't know whether Mosley's going to make it back against Pittsburgh. These bone bruises sometimes are 3, 4, 5 weeks. But they played well enough defensively, and I like seeing that when your best players aren't available. It really speaks to the depth, and I think even on the pass rush, when Suggs isn't getting there, it's Judon or it's Zadarius Smith. Maybe at one point it'll be Tim Williams or Tyus Bowser. But either way, having that matters a lot, and winning a game like this on Sunday matters a lot to me for the defense.
Look, we've seen the Ravens' depth on defense the last 2 preseasons. That's why they've won 9 or 10 preseason games in a row. Their backups defensively they're almost starting caliber players in the NFL. They're very, very deep. We saw that again yesterday. And look, the debacle in Cincinnati, short week, it's their opener. You're on the road. And football is also complementary. It's very much a complementary game. When the offense is going well, the defense feeds off it, and vice versa. I mean, against the Broncos, the special teams kind of fell apart, right? A couple of questionable calls in there, but it's very much a complementary game. And this defense, with that 4 starters, played unbelievably well. And as you mentioned, Kenny Young, what a find. Right now, he definitely can be classified as a 4th-round steal, right, for us draftniks. What a linebacker he's turned out to be. And speaking of C.J. Mosley, I sure hope the Ravens do the right thing and extend him. I know he's a free agent after the season. He didn't hold out. He didn't complain. He made all the OTAs, all the voluntary stuff. He's very much a leader, and unless somebody else gives him a crazy contract, I would like to see the Ravens reward him, because with him and Kenny Young manning the middle, the Ravens are going to have 2 dynamic young linebackers, and that should keep this team formidable for many, many years to come. Well,
that's one thing that I hadn't even really considered, that the emergence of this young man coming on and making plays out there and playing fast to the ball and looking like he belongs, even in the locker room after the game. He's a guy full of wisdom and seems like a very mature guy, and takes this about as seriously as C.J. Mosley takes this. Sort of a similar personality and a heartbeat in some way. That pairing them would be something that we really haven't considered much around here. Maybe going back to Zach Orr 2 years ago and what that represented and how he could have been. But we've been waiting on this.
Yeah, we really have. And I wouldn't replace C.J. Mosley with Kenny Young next season. I would add keep C.J. Mosley in the mix. Zadarius Smith's playing very, very well. There's a fella that can go the Paul Kruger route, in terms of free agency. But with those 2 young linebackers in the middle, wreaking havoc. This team can go a long, long way. They both can cover tight ends. And Kenny Smith is just so fast. I mean, he's like a heat-seeking missile. I think he had 10 tackles by halftime. He goes all over the place, and you got to feel good about this team going forward. The defense, in particular, once they get a couple of pieces back, Jimmy Smith, when he comes back, he'll certainly elevate the status of that defense. He'll make that secondary, that much better. And you got Tavon Young back there. Anthony Everett didn't play. Willie Henry on the defensive line. I mean, you got some.
We've almost forgot about Willie Henry, right? With the stomach thing, right?
Yeah, when Willie Henry was shining in training camp, he was the next rising start on that defensive line. So they've got some pieces on that defense. You got to feel good about their chances as they go on the road.
Dennis Koulatsos is here. He's over at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, buying and selling and doing all the things. That's like offense and defense. What are the special teams for Coons Ford of Security? I hope they look better than the special teams for the Ravens did on Sunday. I don't know what is the special teams at a car dealership for you?
Well, you know what? New cars is bragging rights. Used cars is your offense, and your fixed operations, your service, body shop, and parts. Those are that's your special teams right there. They're the ones that keep everything rolling. We do use football analogies here at Coons Baltimore Ford. We try to run this store just like Ozzie Newsome runs the Baltimore Ravens. We try to win every year, and the way we do this by taking care of our customers. And right now, we still have 0% for 72 months to most models as we clear the decks of the 2018s, and that's the big story here. And we're very, very busy. We do a ton of repeat and referral business thanks to great advertising, like with our partner at WNST. And I mean, we get people coming in here that's the friends of friends of friends, and that's how we keep things going.
Well, I hope you get things going better than the snap and the blocked punt and the K and the special. Boy, special teams we don't talk much about special teams being bad around here. And on a day when you kick a couple of 52-yard field goals, you don't want to feel bad about it, but I would think Jerry Rosberg's room will be very loud this week. And more than that, I would think that Ozzie and the Ravens are going to be loud about whatever that thing was coming through the middle of the line, leverage, jumping. I still think that's illegal, right?
They're not supposed to do that. If you're standing still and within a yard of the ball, you can do that. But he definitely was about a yard and a half out. He definitely took an extra step and jumped over untouched. He wasn't supposed to do that. They were supposed to flag him. But it happens so fast in the NFL, these type of bang plays. Look, calls are going to go for you. Calls are going to go against you. At the end of the day, they should wash out. But the Ravens are clearly the better team yesterday, at least offensively and defensively. Special teams, again, that one they have to take a flyer on. Don't expect to see that again, that kind of performance. And what about Justin Tucker? Like you said, two 50-plus yard field goals in the rain, right? What a difference maker he is, given the woes of all the teams around the league have had this year with their kicking game.
Dennis, around the league, we're waiting for Pittsburgh this week. Obviously, Cincinnati went down and lost in Carolina, which makes it nice for us. They pick up their loss. But some teams around the league now flopping, right? Like New England, what's going on with them? Minnesota, the way they lost. San Francisco looked to be a factor. They're now without their quarterback. Green Bay's got a gimpy version of Aaron Rodgers. They can't get out of their own way down in D.C. They, some of the mighty here, there's a little bit of a little chink in it. Even Jacksonville losing the way they did 9-6. I thought they were better than that. There's no elite team here, and we don't have to worry about the Rams, so I'm not worried about them.
Yeah, what's clear, Nestor, is it's very much a weekly league. What you did last week doesn't matter. It's how you prepare and how you come out and play on any given Sunday. And that's the great thing about the NFL, particularly today, is that if you don't bring your A game, it doesn't matter if you're the Vikings at home playing against the hapless Bills. You will get punched in the mouth, and you risk getting your lunch handed to you. So you got to be up every single game, and that's the message. As we look at the league 3 weeks in, you got to show up on Sundays and play.
Well, we live in a world now where even the Cleveland Browns can beat you, and we're going to find out about that in 2 weeks. But they dilly-dilly, they opened the beer, and they beat the Jets. And, I didn't think they were going 0-16 this year. I thought they were going 6-10. You just got to make sure you're not one of the 6.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out. And now with Baker Mayfield running that offense, they have a lot of number 1, number 2, number 3 draft picks. Just like Jacksonville, it took them a while to put things together. And now the quarterback could be the catalyst that puts them over the top, that saves Hugh Jackson's job, and gets him, 6-7 wins this year.
Would you have drafted Baker Mayfield number 1? Who was your number 1 pick?
I had Darnold number 1. I had Mayfield number 2. I still can't believe the Giants took a running back. Giants could have used either one of these quarterbacks. I mean, seriously, they're just, I know they won, but they're still a dumpster fire of a team. And, You don't take a running back over a franchise quarterback that high in the draft, and that's another story for another day. But what a league it is, and great storylines all over the place, both in the AFC and NFC. And if I'm the Ravens, I'm very excited very early, but it looks like New England may not have home field advantage throughout the playoffs this year, which would make it an easier path to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, when New England and Pittsburgh stink, all it gives me a vibe to do is, hey, maybe we'll actually play a playoff home game. We don't do that around. We win Super Bowls without playing at home. When was our last playoff home game? Like, seriously, was it Houston?
2006, wasn't it? Or
no, we played Houston in a game, right?
We did.
How many home games has Flacco played in the playoffs?
It hasn't been many.
One?
We haven't had many home games
here. Am I nuts in saying one? That's not right, is it?
Yeah. No, we haven't had many home games. We had the Denver game way back when we won the Super Bowl back in 2000. We lost to the Colts. I think we lost one to, was it the Titans and Jeff Fisher?
We lost to the Titans in 06. That was,
right.
03. And then there was 06. We lost to the Colts. By the way, I always forget about that game. So we did play a home game against the Colts once.
Worst home loss in our history. That's what it was. Never forget that game. The wrong franchise that went on to win a Super Bowl, which we need another home game.
Hold on a minute here, Dennis. We're 23 seasons into this. We played Denver. We played Denver in 01. We played Tennessee in 03. We played Indianapolis in 06. And I know we played Houston in one of those years. I don't know what year.
Was it Tennessee? I thought it was the Titans. We lost.
No, we played Houston. They wore the red jerseys here, and they had the fifth-string quarterback. And Flacco had been injured the week before, and we handed the ball off a whole lot. Literally, you and I have been PSL holders from the beginning, and we're having amnesia, but that's it, right? Are those all the home playoff games you've ever played?
You can count them on one hand, Nestor, with fingers left over.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, we've been a road team, right? Both Super Bowls we've won as wild card.
The playoffs mean the road to me, right? The playoffs mean we got a bus trip.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No home games, right? But it would be nice to get one this year.
That's kind of crazy, and even crazier that I haven't talked about it enough to be able to name them off the top of my head. But, all right, man, we'll rest up. I'll be with you on Thursday. The SSV is on Thursdays from 3 until 5 here at WNST. Tell everybody what you're doing out of Coons Ford one more time for them, Dan.
Just giving away cars. How about that? That's all you need to know.
They're free. Just go out there. Ask for Dennis.
We get calls from all over the country every single day. And the funny thing is when I get a call from California and the customer says, hey, can you do any better on the price? Well, you're not calling from California or Florida or New York because my price is too high. So that's always a fun conversation. And it always results in a sale.
Well, as long as they're paying the long distance. Oh, there's no more long distance anymore. I forgot about it. It's free call.
That's right. It's all free.
We will see you on Thursday. We'll hear from you again on Sunday. And have a great week out there at Coons Ford. You got it. Dennis Koulatsos joining us here. He, of course, out at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard and sponsoring our WNST tech service as well for all the breaking news. There'll be an end to the Adam Jones thing and the Buck Showalter and the Dan Duquette thing. It just won't be this week. Luke and I are going to be talking some baseball as Alan McCallum's going to be joining us. We will be residuing a little bit of our baseball conversation around here as well. You can find me anytime, anywhere by emailing me nasty@WNST.net. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and, of course, anywhere you travel in our audio vault. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.